Hi, everyone. Welcome to the Books and Backbone podcast. My name's Donna Harris. I'm the owner of Bookkeeping Made Simple, an accounting firm based out of Salt Lake City, Utah. And with me today, we have David Pittman, who is the owner of ICI Bioscience. David, would you tell us a little bit about your business and what you do?
Hi Donna, how you doing?
I'm doing
Thanks for
great.
having Thanks for having me. So a little bit about what we do. The stigma with cannabis and what everybody hears about is all always related to people getting high. And what I actually had some pretty incredible accidental discovery, but and we'll get to that. But the the reason that I opened and started down this road with this company was to explore and develop the true medicinal properties of cannabis. And I started down the road to try and make a skincare product that really was catered to originally to women in formulating a anti-aging, anti-wrinkling, spot reducing, um, um, uh, full body safe, non-comedogenic, so it wouldn't clog your pores, product that might have some skin cancer fighting potentials behind it. And these different cannabinoids are really incredible. Uh, Very little of the population knows very much about any more than maybe THC and CBD, and they've heard about it. Um, Half the population doesn't trust it. Well, more than half the population actually does trust it, but the people who seemingly don't are polarized in some ways, and until they need help, which is pretty wild. And then all of a sudden they're pro cannabinoid or pro cannabis. So these cannabinoids, THC, CBD, are just two of many. There's 120 some odd, but we can only get to so many of them. And the properties of the individual cannabinoids are pretty incredible. So what I started out to do was make a product that not only had these properties and used some cannabinoids and plant ingredients as really the medicine in the formula, but also with the skin cancer fighting potential. I realized in doing a lot of research that most of what we have in our world contains petroleum, and 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 so I wanted to, or some derivative of, and so what I wanted to do was really make something that had zero petroleum. You know, is that my
Hmm.
phone or your phone?
No, it's mine. Hang on.
Sorry
Sorry
about
about
that.
that.
Yeah, it's okay. So I wanted to make something that had zero petroleum, and really what I realized in doing all this research and formulation was that not only does most of the world not know or understand anything about cannabis or cannabinoids, but really they're fairly ignorant to, and not ignorant in not their fault way, I guess is what I should say, right? They're really ignorant to even the ingredients and what they use every day all over their bodies. And so what I realized was that we have petroleum as an ingredient in almost everything that we put on ourselves every day, from deodorant to shampoo to lip gloss to lipstick to conditioner to body lotions to burn and wound treatments like Neosporin and bacitracin, and these all contain, at some level, certain amounts of petroleum. So like bacitracin as an example, or neosporin is about 98% petroleum.
Hmm.
And so we're putting that on fresh wounds, which is really going right into our body. Aquifer, which sounds like a beautiful river or waterfall, is 40% petroleum, thereabouts. And in actually doing some real deep digging on these products, I started to look at all different types of personal care products, and so I had the formulation thing going on. Didn't want petroleum. I'm looking at personal care products, and I realized that even that it actually starts at birth. So I had put together a picture at one point of a mother who was breastfeeding her baby, and I bought some products, and I put them in the collage of the photo. And I asked people, what do you see when you see the photo, and they'd say, I don't really, I mean, they really didn't know what to say, and
Hmm.
I said, well, most people would say they see something beautiful, right? A mother nurturing her baby. And when I look at it, what I see is petroleum. Petrolatum is the ingredient, which you can't buy neosporin in the UK, for example, because it's a carcinogen. Um, um, but here in the US, we don't really think about it. So what I
I
see
was
is
kind of
carcinogen.
surprised on that. Sorry to interrupt, but I was kind of surprised on that because when I was having children, I used pure lanolin on everything.
Yeah. Uh-huh.
I used some zinc oxide for diaper rash, but as far as breast care, I was using lanolin, and I made
Well,
sure it was 100% lanolin.
well, and so that says a lot about your awareness level of the care you have for your baby, right? And so these products I had bought and put in the photo, ranging from diaper rash cream to nipple cream, all contain petroleum and right off the shelf at CVS, and so this is a problem because while the world is worried about the food they eat and the environment, if there's pollution or not, what they're not aware of is what they're actually putting all over their bodies, starting at. And so when I look at the photo, I see carcinogenic petroleum exposure at childhood and infancy stages of life. Now, when you take the infancy stages out, and let's say we go to toddler world, right? Well, Aquaphor came out with a baby version, Aquaphor baby, um, and if I would encourage you to Google and check the petroleum content of the Aquaphor baby. Thank God they came out with that. I mean, it's all sarcasm intended. Kind of a problem. So I needed to figure out how to get all this stuff into the body, and wanted plant based. And what I ended up creating is something that we can use as a plant based replacement for petroleum or petrolatum as an ingredient. And that's I've trademarked it and actually called it plant relatum. Um, um, and we can use it in medicine and personal care products and shampoos and conditioners and all kinds of things. And so that technology is the backbone of my business,
That's
um, uh,
awesome.
of our business, and we can supply that as bulk ingredients to. Let's say we did have a large corporation with personal care products that wanted to be socially and corporately responsible to their consumers, and they wanted to eliminate petroleum. We can supply this ingredient to them in bulk to replace the petroleum for use in their own formulations. The added benefit to what I've been able to do with this ingredient is 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 I can make it, let's call it, naturally medicinally available, meaning I can infuse it with different plant compounds such as cannabinoids, major and minor cannabinoids, and also some natural terpenes, which a lot of people aren't aware of. Within the cannabis plant, there's let's just make it easy to think about. There are certain components or compounds that are they're much like essential oils, but
Hmm.
they're natural plant producing terpenes, and these terpenes are not all only exclusive to cannabis. Some of them are from maybe lilac, or some of them you might I mean you'll find them in a variety of plants, different ones, and so in this face product, without having essential oils or anything like that, I was exploring the medicinal value of these terpenes, and in that formulation there I put a blend of certain cannabinoids for certain reasons, and then I realized that I could make maybe a very broad formula, because these different compounds and components have different overlaps in what they could potentially help with.
Hmm.
I decided to make a broad formula, and if it worked, I could tweak it, and cater it to certain things. If I wanted something for foot fungus, I can cater it and tweak it and make it more antifungal. If I want something for or athlete's foot or whatnot. If I want something for eczema, I could tweak it. If I want something for pain or inflammation, I could tweak it. So this formula I had made was a very broad, well-rounded formula that again, if it worked, and there was some signs of success with it in some areas, then we could move forward. And so in the final days of the formulation, I finished the final formula after sending. I had sent everything to the lab, in different processes, just to keep checking, to make sure that I wasn't losing anything and that everything was staying safe and things were correct. And I had sent the final formula to the lab, and that night I was working very late, and I was actually working on a bracket to go on a bicycle, of all things, and the hole on this bracket was too small, so I went and got a brand new drill bit. It was like a half-inch drill bit, and I'm sitting there, and silly me, I didn't have a vise with me, and I know better, but I hold the thing and I'm drilling it down, and the drill bit grabbed the bracket, and it pulled it across my knuckle, and it went three-quarters of the way through the tendon, needed stitches, and it was 2 in the morning, and I didn't have any duct tape or crazy glue, and I'm not going to go to the hospital for it. I've had stitches before, so I just ragged it up, and in the morning when I took the rag off, or when I woke up, I took the rag off, and it needed stitches. There was a chunk of skin in it, and I really didn't want to go get stitches, but I knew the potential of what I had just made and sent to the lab, and I had it with me, and honestly, I didn't even clean the wound. I took the rag off it. There was a chunk in it, and I pulled the chunk out and started to bleed. And I took a photo of it, so I could know if I had to go to the hospital what it actually did look like originally. And I put this stuff in it, and it soothed it, and it kind of stopped the bleeding, and I just left it there, and I filled the whole wound with it. And I did
Right.
that, and I took a photo of that, and I did that every day actually, and because there was no issue, and I don't know if it's 14 days or something. I put it in an efficacy study when I first formed the company, but it was an accident, and what I discovered was in 14 days, I think it was, a microsurgeon could not have healed it this good with 2 layers of stitches, which was incredible. And so then I did another test. I was like, that's really wild. I gotta, so I had made some stuff, and I had made some samples and stuff, and had started to hand out to people, then I thought to myself, somebody had asked me one time about a tattoo product for healing tattoos. So I cut the formula down quite a bit, like by 2/3, and took the terpenes, left them out, and so like scent free, like an ointment. And very low dosage compared to the first formula. because I didn't think I needed it. I wasn't sure yet, you know, depending on what you're trying to achieve, different strengths would be required. So I went and got another tattoo, and I told the guy that, hey, can you mess it up, like make it scar, dig deep, you know, and had to pay him extra for that because he's an artist, you know, and next thing you know, um, I go back and I put this new stuff on half the formula. The other half I didn't put anything on it, and it healed. And I documented it daily, and it healed it 35% faster with no itching or scabbing on that half, which was pretty incredible. Um, so that's how that started, you know, and and that kind of blew my mind. I know my body and the way it heals, and I thought to myself, well, really, somebody needs to really test it, you know, and and I knew how it worked on this deep wound, and I knew how it worked on the tattoo, and I was thinking, well, how I'm fresh out of Frank's, you know, I'll test it, you know, but how can I do a test, you know, because those things cost a lot of money, and this was like startup infancy, just research, just my money going out, you know. So I was like, maybe I'll do a burn test, you know, and see how it works on a burn. That'd be an easy thing I could do, you know. So I don't know about easy, but easier than any other the other options. This is back in 2022, and Thanksgiving weekend. I had gone to Home Depot and bought some pitchforks, and went to CVS and bought some Neosporin burn ointment. Then I bought some Manuka honey product from CVS, Theriac or something like that. And it says it heals 50% faster. It says right on the box, heals 50% faster than Neosporin and for burns. And then I had two formulas. I had my original formula that healed up my cut, and then I had the same strength but with no terpenes. And I had a friend come by my place, and he heated up the pitchforks in the gas stove, made them white hot, and I had him brand me 5 times across the side of my belly with 6-inch burns, fourth degree burns. Each one he had to do separate. We had to keep heating it up, and we tested it. He put the pitchfork on a piece of cardboard, and if it burnt the cardboard immediately and turned it black, then it was going to be hot enough. That's what he did, and the last burn was the worst burn, yeah, because he was going slow. He was nervous to do it. He didn't want to do it, you know.
I don't blame him.
You know, so I could feel the heat right coming towards me because he was going so slow. So the last burn, I told him, look, don't do that. Don't just I'm hanging on, you know, and just push it down. You'll know to hold it down until I pull away, you know. And so he did that, and when I pulled away on that one, I ripped the countertop off the counter. So, so these 5 burns were there on my body, and I don't think that you would never see a burn like that unless somebody was in a fire or a car accident or like that. These were intense burns, and I didn't put water on them. I didn't follow any of the instructions that the world tells you to do. I just waited 20 minutes or so after the last burn, and I took a Sharpie marker and I drew lines between the burns, and I laid out the formulas and the products how I was gonna apply them to these different individual burns. You know, so to do a control test to really see why are we using all this? Is there any benefit behind this petroleum stuff that I can't see? You know, and and so 20 minutes after the last burn, they were all laid out. I drew the marker on them and took pictures, and I put all this. I documented all of this and put it all in an efficacy study. It was a 50-day test, and so I put my products on the 2 worst burns, and on the third worst burn. So that's the one I put the Neosporin on. And the honey stuff said it healed 50% faster than the Neosporin. So I put that on the least worst burn. And so we could go ahead against Neosporin, and just put this stuff on, and I would lathered it on, and then I would do that a few times a day, just leaving it exposed to the open air, and then I had to travel. I have a career. I mean, this isn't what I've been doing my whole life, so I had to go away and teach a class of engineers, and had to get on a flight, and I was like, how am I going to get on a flight? Because these burns were so bad that I mean, it was exposed nerve. This was, and on the side of my belly, and I would relate it to shingles. I've had shingles before. Actually, fast forward the tape, we've helped some people with shingles relief. There's not much to relieve the pain you get when you have this shingles virus. And I would relate that was what it was like at about day 3. It was like really bad shingles. So I put the stuff on it, and I just saran wrapped myself up, and went to the airport. Underneath my shirt, here I am with a body full of saran wrap. There's nothing in the saran wrap. Flew up to Canada, and took the saran wrap off, put more stuff on it, and kept doing it. And I think it was around day. Every day I have it all in an efficacy study, but I think maybe the wound was a full 21 days before it was completely healed, and I think it was around day 14 on the burns that the second worst burn, so where I put one of my products on, was already smooth. The worst burn was my other product, and it was almost smooth. There was still just a little bit of chunk kind of on it that needed to release. And then the other two, where the Neosporin and the honey was, they were actually starting to rash out and spall out across my belly towards my back. And so I stopped, and I just put my product on, and stopped the Neosporin, because it was that Petroleum was your body doesn't like it. That was very evident. And so from there, I just kept putting my product, and on day 49, my body was smooth as a newborn's hindside, and everything was fully healed. Before the Petroleum, before the products fixed the Petroleum rashing that was happening, the two worst burns were already smooth and healed. And so this efficacy study was pretty incredible. Since then, I've confirmed with some doctors out of Israel, some research doctors, that they said, we've seen this in mice, but never in humans, and what they said was they asked me what I thought was happening. I showed them and told them what I thought. They said, yeah, you're absolutely right. What's happening is you're healing the body before it can form scar tissue. And so that's an incredible potential of technology, and an incredible discovery. So what does this mean? This means that when there's a freshman girl in college, you're going into college, and has a weekend accident, and burns her face with a grease fire, her face and her arms, and I'm able to find her and get to her right now. Within 6 weeks, this girl is walking around in college in her freshman year, and nobody even knows that she had a burn on her. There's no, and so that's what I do. That's what we do.
So you mentioned anti-aging. And as a woman of a certain age, that's very interesting to me. What does it do for like a woman my age that wants to eliminate wrinkles?
So what's pretty incredible is we use this. The way that this works is that it treats your skin as a delivery device, if you will. So like a sponge. Okay.
Right.
So when and I have different things we've been working on. We have different projects going on, but essentially on your face with this product, when you put it on, it may appear to be somewhat oily, right? When it thins out, but in 20 minutes or so, it will leave your skin plump and tack free. And so depending on what's happening, like on the face, for example, it will leave your skin plump and tack free, and if you put more on right away, it would reach a point of saturation where it would stay oily on your skin, right? But then eventually, everything that you put on your skin gets absorbed into your body. So then eventually your skin will be unplumped a little bit, and then you put more on again, right? And so this repeated process turns out to and combined with the cannabinoids that are in there, there's reasons for all of that, but really turns out to almost be rejuvenation for the skin. And I've had people where we've taken they've used some product, and it's removed their pre-carcinogenic spots on their face, where the dermatologist wanted to remove them, and
Wow.
and they've applied this to their face, and not only has it caused the spot to dry up and fall off, but they're also had made jokes and stuff in some of not I don't think they're really jokes. I think he was really serious. I mean, I don't know him that well, but this one gentleman's post was like, not only that, but everybody's telling me I look younger, you know, and honestly, this is pretty true in using. It's all plants, and this is nature working with nature in harmony, right? And
Yeah.
and not this is not and there's reasons the medicinal values work, and that's all of those potentials went away when the universities stopped teaching plant medicine and switched to petroleum-based pharmaceuticals, back in the days of Rockefeller, and that's what happened. And
When you sell,
you could patent those compounds,
yeah, yeah.
right?
When you
And
sell
so
petroleum for a living, that's what you want to sell.
that's right.
So,
And what's different about me is, and there's no shame in that. There's no harm. I mean, that's the way the world went.
hmm
With me, I don't think I'm not convinced. Well, I'm definitely not convinced after the studies that I did. Your body doesn't like it, and there's truth, and there's got to be some reasoning behind why you can't buy these things in the UK. Um, and so my process and what I do is I don't sell petroleum, and I really don't sell anything. Honestly, I do this because I can help people. And so there are products I sell. There's things I sell. I have brands and brands I'm working on bringing to the market with other partners, and there's things that we're doing. But me personally, I'm not doing it for sales. I'm doing it because I'm helping people. And so when my best friend calls me from Houston and is like, bro, what's going on? We healed my mom. I'm like, bro, I didn't heal anybody. And he's like, no, like she's not limping anymore. And she's been limping for years. And my dad has congestive heart failure, and he's since passed, but he hasn't walked around. He can't walk around because his feet, and he was at the casino with my mom last night, walking around for 4 hours. Like this is crazy. And honestly, that just melts my heart. I'm
that's
humbled.
awesome.
And so when I see that, and I see young girls with eczema who are insecure already because they're young girls, and all of a sudden they don't mind to put on a bikini because they don't have red spots and blotches all over their belly.
hmm
That's really incredible stuff. Um, So these are the reviews on products I'm powering with plant related, if you will, and that's what's coming back, and it just is not. It doesn't stop. At the start, I was like continually texting my parents, going, "My goodness, I just got," and and now I'm just the more it happens, the more my heart smiles, and I'm just happy that we're helping people, and as this business grows, and as people begin to realize, and then they start to hear about their their cousin who used some product that had she had radiation burns on her chest from chemo treatment and blisters that wouldn't heal or go away, and she used the product, and all of a sudden the blisters were gone the next day and she was healed within a few days, and as people hear those stories, they will check into it and they'll find out for themselves, and in the meantime I'll be helping people, you know
That's awesome.
and
I've
that's what
always
I
said that
do.
a business should be something that both you're passionate about, and clearly you are, and that people want to spend money on. Because
Yeah, and but there's a you're right, and people want to and for different reasons, right?
mhm,
Some people want to spend money on something because it makes them feel a certain way, or a status thing, or but some people want something that really works, and they don't want to cut through they don't want the marketing fluff and the bullshit. They don't want you to tell them make it seem like it's a water-based waterfall you're putting on your skin when there's 40% petroleum in it. Nobody wants that. But they don't know better. So that's one part. And so the people will buy things when they know it works and they have a need for it, right? Unless it's a fad of some kind. That being said, then when you look at the sales side of things, though, is when we talk about technology, like something like this. This is something that in the wrong, I don't want to say the wrong hands, but it's kind of. I'll just be real with you. You can interpret how from there, but in the wrong hands, this will be something that somebody would keep and have money invested, a tremendous amount of money invested in, and they would turn it into a pharmaceutical product, and for different pharmaceutical technologies, and there is the potential there for that on some scales when we talk about major disease, but some people may want to make this a prescription for burns that you have to go to the CVS for, right? And that's not my game. That's not what I want to do. I believe that my role in this is that I was the one that this information was provided to by the gods, if you will, and I'm the one that was chosen to hold it, protect it, and ensure that it is made accessible for the people, and
I think
not be
that's
held
awesome.
hostage by a pharmaceutical. So this isn't a. I don't do this for money. I don't. If you don't have any money, I'll help you for free. Don't go promoting that all over the world because it'll be the next thing I. I don't have that. I don't have that much money. But there are a lot of people that I hear, or that somebody comes to me and says someone's in pain, or somebody is having trouble of some kind. And there's a lot of people that's what I do, is I help them. And if I choose, and I have the ability to help somebody, and have the means to do it, and they need help, I will help them. And so that's honestly what I spend most of my time doing when I'm not developing or working my day job to buy more lab equipment, or to develop another piece of technology. There's these projects all have different components. If I'm not doing that, I'm getting shipments ready to send out to people to help them for some reason. Right now on my list of things to I probably got what 12 to 14 little shipments to just 14 individual. It's not just 14 people. These are 14 humans that need help, and I have the ability to do that, and so
Yeah.
that's what
I
drives me
think
every day.
I think sometimes as business owners we forget that behind the numbers are real people,
Yeah,
especially in the big, the mega corporations. I think they
people's
forget that there's
people.
actual people.
Here's the problem. The people who are running the corporation, like let's say that maybe could be providing something that is safer, right?
Hmm.
They're doing that job for money, right? And money, that's where everything gets twisted, right? Money and expectations,
Well, I would
and
say
so
greed more than
greed.
money.
It's greed more than money, but they're doing that job. But you know what they're forgetting and not realizing is that their grandma needs help.
Hmm.
His mom, that CEO, or his or her mother, needs help and might be having problems that are caused by stuff that they're actually profiting from. That there's a conscious thing that's a disconnected there, that is not, it's not my problem, and I can't fix it. All I can do is 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 have the right mindset and intention with everything that we do, right? And
Right.
so if as a company, so if the products don't work, I don't we will never sell them. If something ever had a problem, well, we will yank it. I'll pull it off the. I mean, it doesn't matter how anything like that. There's a corporate and social responsibility that should exist. However, the character of the company is never really talked about. What is the company's character? Would they sell products that have things when they know there's an alternative, right? So to me, that comes down to corporate character that doesn't exist in today's world, in a lot of ways. So look, that's what we do, and that's what I'm doing, and we have people with I mean, professional athletes whose massage therapists will use product on them, and within 20 minutes, I mean, she's coming back to me going, thank you, you made my job easier. By the time I put this all over their body, I go back to up to their shoulders, and they're already loose. So I mean, from muscle and nerve pain and relaxation to people with sciatica to people with arthritis to I mean, it just is. I could go on and on and on. The results that we are getting are incredible, and I don't want to. I'm not overselling it. Look, it's not a knee replacement. If you need a knee replacement, you need a knee replacement. But if there are some aches and pains and some things out of whack in your body, and you're getting skin reactions or nerve pain or muscle pain, or there's a pretty good chance that we can get you some relief. Are we going to fix you? No, not necessarily. However, there's also a chance that after some continued use, the amount of use may become required might become less, and so some people with certain pain and arthritis, for example, they might have pain every day, and they put this stuff on a couple times a day, and they may turn around and after 3 weeks of use, they might only use it once a week.
It's awesome.
It's pretty incredible.
Yeah.
We're working through the nerves. We have the potential to repair nerves and cellular tissue, and do it in ways that conventional products just haven't been able to do. So um, that's what we're doing.
So one of the things that I was taught, it wasn't in business school, it's just been school of hard knocks, so to speak, is that when people have to pay for something, and of course I'm interested in money because I'm an accountant, and it's not
Sure.
just piling stacks of money. I want to help people be successful. And a lot of that is mindset, like you were talking about in your business. Um, and one of the things that I was taught over the years is that people value your, the reason we pay for things is that there's a value that we place on it. And if you
That's
if you
an
price
interesting
things too
comment.
low, if you price things too high, people can't afford it. If you price things too low, then they don't value it as much. Um,
That's an
that's
interesting
why
comment.
Ruth's Chris Steakhouse can charge a whole lot more than like McDonald's.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. Look, you hit the my comment to that as somebody who has been investing their blood, sweat, tears, and everything they got into this development of that I've uncovered and found. Some of this is a lot, like I said, a lot of it is accidental discovery. And when you look at time, a lot of major things in this world were founded accidentally. And then if you look at self-testing, right? Antibiotics, I believe, is probably one of the ones that sticks out the most. He self-tested himself with all those. That's, and so there's that aspect of things. And so where was I going with that in response to your comment? I've also learned, and I haven't, I still do it, right? But I've also learned that free has no value. When you give somebody something for free, in most of the world, it's true. Most people in the world, not with everybody, but when you give somebody something for free, there's they don't put any value on it. Like they see it as something cheap that was a giveaway, and so with me that's been a difficult thing to learn because I've been giving stuff away, and I give stuff away because I know it's going to help people, right? But it's been a like you wouldn't assume that if you give somebody something and it actually takes away their psoriasis that they've been fighting with, you wouldn't assume that and you gave it to them, right? Now they're going to go buy more, right? And they do, right? But you wouldn't assume that you giving them that gift and that help, um, that you would need to also ask for a review, right? And so you wouldn't assume that. Like if the shit works, right? You leave a review then if it works. If you've been struggling for that many years, I think you can at least say five stars. This right. So
Yeah,
there's
at
no
least say thank
value.
you.
Yeah, there's no value on the free, right? And there's also no value even to the point of look, you only hear in this world, the world hasn't changed overnight. This has been true for eons. You only hear bad shit,
Hmm.
right? So even when you tell somebody, hey, if this helps your mom or you, right? Usually people's parents, when I help people's parents, the people come back and they call me and they're like, yo, thank you, or they're like, wow, my mom says thanks, or, it's because it's somebody close to them, but even then when you help the person themselves, they quite often don't call you back, and they may tell you, if you see them a year and a half down the road, hey, I've been buying your product and subscribed to it, and it's been working great, and my husband loves it for this, and and even then I will ask them sometimes. I'm like, hey, did you ever leave a review for it? And they're like, no, no. Wow, that's incredible.
Yeah.
Could you? Could you? And they then sometimes they do. I've just started to like just like within the last couple months, maybe month, just started to, if I give somebody something, I ask them straight up, like, look, I'm putting $65 in your hand here right now, or the least you could do is leave me a review, like if you could do that, if you like it. If you don't like it, leave a review and tell me you don't like it. I said we got to fix it if there's a problem. We'll listen to any negatives, but it's interesting that the price sensitivity all the way down to free, low cost, and then even free.
Hmm.
Now, when's the last? Now, think about it though, right? That's because most of what what you get for free,
Junk.
garbage.
Yeah.
Not trash, garbage, right? Trash is usually reusable by somebody else, but garbage is
Right.
just garbage.
Yeah.
And so that's typically what you get for free, right? And so, one of the things that we're working on right now is there's a lot of people that go places and they get stuff for free, and they may even use it, like trade shows or things like that, right? And 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 these things they get for free. Number one, is it something the person could actually use? Number two, is it actually safe for them? And number three, would they actually use it? Right? Would they, or are they just going to throw it out? Because if somebody actually gets something at an event like that, there's a difference. Most of what they get's garbage. They throw it out. So when they get something, if they got something that really worked and helped them, then I think they'd probably hang on to it and use it, right? And so there is some value in free if it's given in the right environment, I guess. But it has to work. It has to be useful, right? Nobody wants a. How many cozies do you need, or koozies, or whatever those things are, to keep your beer thing cool? I mean, how many of them do you need? You know,
Yeah.
um, that's got no value. I'll throw that in the garbage, right? But if it was something that might help my pain that I have from my feet on walking all day, man, I might use that stuff, right? But it would have to be safe. I'll tell you what, I've never used chapstick that I get at a trade show that didn't have ingredients on it, right? But people don't think about that stuff.
Yeah, that's all petroleum gel. I actually um, had a nurse. I have a friend that has to have oxygen from time to time, and he uses the nasal cannula. He hates it because it dries out his nose. And he was putting Vaseline on it. He's a very intelligent man. Usually
That's what the
reads all the
doctors will tell
ingredients.
you to
He's
do.
putting Vaseline on it to moisturize it. And a friend of mine who is a nurse came in and said, "Oh, you can't do that. Don't do that." And he said, "Why?" She said, "It's flammable. It's on the label. It's petroleum jelly."
Yeah, yeah,
And he was like, he never had connected the name Vaseline with something that burns.
yeah, yeah.
So,
But they'll tell you, doctors will tell you to do that. And
mhm.
and you brought up a good.
And chapstick's the same stuff, by the way, for everyone that's listening.
It is, and that's why Burt's Bees was successful. Burt's Bees
Hmm.
was beeswax, you know.
Hmm.
But wax isn't always good for your pores either. You don't want to go smearing wax all over your face, right? So we're not using any of that, which is pretty incredible. Yeah, I mean, we're making my daughter has because we're making lip we've had some people that have a severe lip problems. Usually it's because of maybe braces, or maybe a combination of
Hmm.
braces and a lot of antidepressants or SSRIs. It seems to be a side effect that it really jacks up people's lips and makes their lips dry. I don't know, because I don't do any of that, but we have a product that's lip balms, and so in making in formulating those products, and nobody's seen them yet. Like, we haven't even, we're just getting certain things ready to go to launch and go to market with. Some things are already available, but I'm kind of spilling the beans on some stuff. But the lip balms that we make have no beeswax and no butters and no fillers and no acids and no alcohols, and they are scented and with are scented with food grade scents, food derived, and they are also sweetened with monk fruit sweetener. So there's in doing that, because no sugar, alcohols, no nothing like that. That's the way the formula took us in keeping it all natural with no sugars, and so we could cater to a variety of markets. And we also have it where it has no scent and no taste. But my daughter
Hmm.
asked me, she sent me a video or a thing, I don't know if it was an Amazon link or a photo screenshot, and I looked this stuff up, and she's like, "Can you make this?" And she sent it to me. And she's in Canada, and she said everybody's using this stuff, and so this I go on and I look it up, and it won major awards. I don't know if it came from some TikTok thing, or I have no idea how the kids found out about it, right? But here's the same thing being promoted to our kids and told that it's vegan. and told that it's so safe, right? And what it is it's colored lip gloss. It's pigmented lip gloss. But then when you look at the ingredients, you wouldn't want to put half of them right anywhere near your body, and so now you have false marketing to children. That's a problem. So I told my daughter, I'm like, look, I I think we can. Sure, I'll work on it. You know, and so I it's right here, and
That's awesome.
it's done all with food.
Hmm.
It's done all with food derived pigments from like radish or beets. So no artificial crushed up stone powder, no mica powder, and no alcohol, no nothing. I mean, I'm talking 100% natural. Now, how does this something like this gets tested? As a startup company, right? Who does a bulk production elsewhere. When I'm doing research, I'm doing it. I live alone with my dog, and when I'm doing research, I do this in. My house is not really a house. It's really a big lab with a bedroom in the back corner, and
Hmm.
equipment and stuff, and so it's constantly being cleaned and because there's always everything's got to be sanitary in the research and because I can't screw. I send things to labs to get tested. I can't have any problems, and so how does something like this get tested? Here I am at night playing around with this to get the pigment level right and to get it to set up right. I don't even know how to apply it, right? So now here I am. I'm putting colored lip gloss on my lips. I don't know. I'm making a mess, right? I'm smearing it. I probably look like Ronald McDonald, and then I'm waiting, 10. I'm thinking to myself, okay, well, how long does a girl wait after? I don't have no idea how long girls wait after they put this stuff on before they take a drink of coffee or a sip of water,
Sometimes
right?
immediately.
Right? And so now I'm putting this stuff on and I'm waiting to see how long it is before now I'm pretending like I'm taking. So this is what I mean. If anybody saw me, if I mean, anybody got to look in this fishbowl that's going on,
Hmm.
they'd be like, this guy's crazy, but you have to. That's how somebody has to test it, and I don't know. I just know that we're gonna make it safe, and my daughter will have something safe that, and her friends won't be smearing this shit all over themselves, and 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 uh, and that's how I'm testing it. She asked for it, so I know we can do it. So I'm working on it.
Oh, that's awesome.
And honestly, it's kind of a shame when you see something like that wins all these awards. And then you look at it and it says it's vegan and safe and all these it uses buzzwords and you look at the ingredients and it's marketing and that's kind of a shame.
Yeah, one of the things that I've always said is I love to buy things. I hate to be sold.
Yeah.
So I feel like if a product is good and I see good reviews, excuse me, and it has all, especially if it has all natural ingredients for skincare, I'm going to be interested in trying it at least.
Sure.
But when I see things like the prominent beauty brands just trying to say they're going to roll back the clock 30 years on my skin and I'm going to look like I'm 21 again, um, that's selling me. And I don't
So
like that because it's
you know
unrealistic.
so there's major brand activities that happen that give people a perception that because they're a major brand, they lean on the name, and because they're a major brand, that it must be safe, right? And
Yeah.
so that is unfortunately not the truth and not the case in the world. And here is an example because in my research in labeling requirements, right? The FDA has very specific and clear label laws and regulations for cosmetics and for the different and for what they call drugs. Okay, so drug isn't defined by what we think it is as a norm. So if it's got menthol in it, right, it's a drug. The label
Hmm.
requirement changes, right? If it doesn't have anything that's classified as a drug per se, then we can label it as a cosmetic. But there's some cosmetics that contain things that require these labels to change, right? Now the major, so let's say luxury brands.
Hmm.
Okay, let's call them luxury brands. If you go into, and the consumers would not be aware of this, right? So if you go into like Nordstrom, let's say, and you go to the luxury brands and the cosmetics, right? And you buy, without naming any, let's say you buy a $400 moisturizer for your face that comes from France. Okay.
Okay.
Now, 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 when the product is on display on the retail shelf for the consumer to purchase, like CVS, right?
Hmm.
The label requirements apply, okay? But when the product is not consumer reachable, right? There are requirements for the label really still for the product, and it's got to be on the box because that stuff all comes in a box, right? Now, when you take your $400 from France lotion and you go home and you throw the box out, go try and check the ingredients and whatnot on that luxury brand. It's not on the package that comes out of the box. You'll never be able to find it again. And in some of the cases, it's not even on the box because the box is not consumer reachable. And so
Hmm.
all these companies, what I found was, and that's why when I started, I was like, okay, the Farm Bill came out, figured this out, I could beta test it. We did made sure we had legal. I made sure we had all legal labels, right? And
Right.
doing my research, what I found was that most of the companies, even on the consumer retail side of things, are not even compliant with the FDA. But they're only going to bang on somebody's door if someone complains. And I made sure that
Hmm.
everything that we had was label requirements, so that if anybody ever did come back to me while I was beta testing and doing this, um, there's a lot of people they should be banging on their door before they bang on mine, because everything was compliant, you know and there's a lot to be said about accounting and what you do and making sure there's compliance on that area of the business. There's compliance on every single area of the business, but some of these companies get away with it, and sometimes they get away with it. They may not even know the label require. Well, they may just be turning a blind eye, but sometimes they get away with it just by how the store is demonstrating it and displaying it, right? So when it's locked up behind the glass counter, under the thing, and it's all luxury, and you just have a little pump tester out there, nobody's really looking at ingredients on some of that. I mean, and they won't even be able to find them when they go home. It's pretty
Well,
incredible.
and when they do put the ingredient, well, they usually don't, but if they do, it's in print that's so fine, you need a microscope.
That is, and that's a problem. That's a packaging problem.
Hmm. I realize it's a
That's
small package,
that's why
but
like Neosporin or something comes in a box, right?
hmm.
And it's got the header and stuff because it just gives them some more room. But even you're absolutely right. Text size shrinks, and there's actually legal requirements for the size of the text, the
Hmm.
smallest it can be, in height. And a lot of products aren't nobody's looking that deep. We
Yeah.
they don't look that deep, and so again, it's this same thing where until somebody complains or says something, then maybe they'll get a letter or whatnot. But if they have enough money and they're doing enough business, it seems that they'll never get a letter. Um, so it's an interesting dynamic in the world. But at the end of the day, I can't fix any of that. All we can do is make products to help people.
Love it.
And
Love it.
that's what we do.
So where do you want to be 6 to 12 months from now in your business?
I don't know how long it's going to take me to get there, but where do I want to be in my business is having a facility with the people in place to operate it, and I want to be back in a corner locked up with my dog in a room, um, developing product because there's a lot more work to do. And so
Yeah.
how am I going to get there? Working on it. About to move and get a different, actually get everything under one roof, which is good. So production and whatnot, I'll have that under one roof.
Good.
About 30 days out from that, and um, I've look, I could be anywhere in my business in 6 to 12 months if I wanted to take in investment, and I may do that at some point. I kind of need to at some point here. There comes a point where I can't make enough money fast enough for me to keep funding and fueling this. So,
Right.
but that's a whole project. That doesn't come down to money. If I wanted just money, I could already have it from people. That comes down to alignment of alignment and values and
Yeah.
so
I've never
that's
been a
where
fan of I've never been a fan of venture capital because it seems like um,
people
once they
dilute
get in
themselves
there,
right out
they
of their
bring in the
business.
yeah, they bring in these 20-something-year-old MBAs who have no real life experience. They don't know anything and they just want to improve the bottom line. And in order to do that, they reduce services, they reduce the quality of the product. I see it especially I see it especially in restaurants. I can walk into a restaurant and say, "Oh, this is venture capital money. It's terrible."
Right,
Um,
right. You
or
can
I can
see
walk
it
into a
in,
restaurant and say, "It used to be amazing, but they got bought out and now it's just like
yeah,
everybody else. There's nothing special
yeah,
about it."
yeah. So there's values, there's things that have to come into play, and honestly, I that's what it's going to come down to. It's not about the money for me. It's
Hmm.
about if I'm going to do that, I'm, and I also know that the longer, look, we're this has been like ebbs and flows. It's life is a jump rope, right? So this whole thing has been like a jump rope too, and not in a bad way. In terms of development and discovery. So there's some things that have taken me 3.5 years and I finally have broken how to do it, and
Hmm.
3.5 years of continual work, right? And so we've been certain things have been compounding tremendously, and that's what happens with accounting, and it happens with taxes, right?
Yeah.
Or interest, right? I mean, things compound. Um, um, and so we've been making, instead of baby steps, I would call them double and triple steps at points with what we're developing, and that's eventually you get to the point where if you want to execute this stuff, you do need to take in some money from my train of thought. Sure, the values and whatnot have to be in alignment, but I also know that the longer I hold out, the more I'm worth. Right? The longer I wait before taking investment, the more the company is worth. Right? And as long as things are developing and it's moving in the right direction. So there's also that aspect of things too. And venture capital is probably not. I can't say for sure because honestly, I've never had to take in venture capital. I do know that a lot of times a founder gets effed. Founders get
Yeah.
franked, right?
Yeah.
And Bert was a prime example from Burt's Bees. Bert got franked.
Yeah.
Yep, and unfortunately, that's the so I am aware of that. And what happens and how these founders get franked is they go and they sell 50% of their company to a venture capitalist or a 49%, and then when they need more money, where's it coming from, right? So before you know it, they have diluted themselves right into a minority and got their ass kicked right out the door.
Hmm.
And that comes down to inexperience, I think, a lot of times. Sometimes it comes down to trust. They trust the wrong people. But you know, when I go down that road, I don't think it'll. I think it would probably be more private investment.
I was gonna.
There's enough people with enough money around somewhere. I'll find somebody's character that aligns with mine, and they'll see the vision. And I'll, you know how I'll probably find them. I'll probably end up helping their grandmother or something. You know, I mean that's probably the way it works. And so I have faith in the universe in that front. I'm not desperate going out trying to. It's not a cash grab for me.
No,
You know,
no, and it
the
shouldn't be. And
faster
that's
I
one of the
can.
things I liked about hearing about your business is it's all about helping people. But the bottom line, so to speak, no pun intended,
Right.
is that in a lot of ways, you still have to be compliant with the government's requests. You're working with a plant that has been deemed Schedule 1, even though the Farm Bill is allowing us to do a lot more with it. Research has been
Well, the hemp is
just
not
stagnant.
we do everything from hemp. I do everything from hemp.
Yeah.
So I'm not in breach of any regulations of any kind on
Hmm.
this development. If I touch THC or the THC producing plant, the game changes in a very
Oh, very much so.
expensive and non-interested way. But if it wasn't for this farm bill that allowed me to work from hemp, I would never ever even be halfway on the radar. You know,
Right.
and somebody's got to do the work and the research. I mean, and so I just
Hmm.
consider it pushing the science of nature forward in a positive way, and so that's what I think. But yes, you're right. I
So
mean, you have to be compliant.
you have to be compliant. You have to have sales. You have to have the money coming in to fund your research. Um, where can people buy your products? Or are they available for sale?
So right now, the first initial brand that is so I was beta testing and moved away from that because we never had any negatives. So I sold that trademark, and now you can buy a product called Dave's Super Salve, and it's funny the company the website you would go to would be usedaves.com, and the company that is bringing that brand to market, the product and the formula that's in the container saved the owner's ear. His ear was skin grafted back on his head, and the graft was rotten. Doctors told him it was going to let go. It wasn't taken, and by using that product that's in that container, in 3 days, it went from black to pink, and his doctors were freaking out about it.
Wow.
And we saved his ear. And so you can see some pretty wild reviews on that site. They're bringing that brand to market, and they're doing it because of that reason. That I mean, they believe in it so much it saved his ear. I guess. But I kind of am humbled with that one because they called me one day and said, "Hey, can we put your face on the label?" And I'm like, "My face on the label?" I'm like, you don't even have a picture of me, and so I said, look, I don't care. I mean, are you sure? You sure you want to put this mug on that label? And they did it. So you'll see on the container that's actually my mug on it, and they kind of made it. It kind of looks like, but they did a really wonderful job. I mean, the packaging and it looks like it's
Looks
some.
like you. It's Dave's
It
Super
looks.
Staff, right?
Yep, 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 yep.
Looks like you. I think they did a great job.
And but it looks like, and even the way they've done and so this has been in a soft launch for almost 12 months now, for a variety of reasons. Going to, when I started this whole thing, I started it and I made the first formula in a beaker cup in a kitchen, you know. And it made about 250 milliliters. So if you bake anything, that's one cup. And now in batches, 75 to 100 gallon batches. So to scale from 1 cup to 100 gallons is there's some kinks that you have to work out, and so
Absolutely.
during the
Anytime
soft
you
launch,
scale.
yeah, during the soft launch of this last 12 months, we were less than 12. I've got the kinks ironed out, and so I think probably we're just actually getting ready now in this quarter to plan a spend and sizable launch, which is happening. I don't know how much will happen in the rest of 2025, but 26, I'd say January 1. If it's not hot launch by January 1, then they're running way. Then everybody's going to have a party.
Yeah, I tell people to go to that website. I'll put it in the show notes. That people have pictures up of the results that they've gotten from it.
Yeah, yeah, and that's where
And
you'll see if
mhm,
you look at those
you'll see the
reviews, they're
pictures,
incredible.
guys.
Yeah, yeah,
So
yeah, they're
that's
incredible.
awesome. And it's reasonably priced. It's not $400. It's affordable,
No, no, no,
especially
and
for what
and
it does.
and honestly, so a little goes a long way, and that's like a 3 ounce container. Most depending on what your problems are, like if you're using it to heal a wound, there's a 1 ounce tube coming out, or I don't know, three-quarter ounce
Hmm.
tube or something. There's different size packaging that's coming out. That was just the initial one, and honestly, I think he pushed the button early and knew it, and he did it because he wanted to have volume of it in his warehouse. Because I think if he had his way, he would buy a big tank and swim in it. The guy, I'm telling you, he bathes his whole after it saved his ear like that. He covers his whole body in it. I mean, he just doesn't and nonstop. But that's well, I mean, I think he pushed the button a little bit, or I know he did, but
Well,
that's okay. We
I'm
had
going to
we
be
had
buying some as
kinks.
soon as we're done. So,
Oh, well, and there is a coupon code that you can use. I don't know how it works, but I know there's one for that you could use as Super 20, and I'm not sure if it would give you a discount in addition to other discounts they might have, but it might. I would definitely give it a try. Super 20, and I think you could just do lowercase letters 20, and that'll at least get you somebody another 20% off. And honestly, if you want me to shoot you something, I already told you on the phone. If you like it, I would just like you to leave a review. If you want to buy it and
of
support
course.
the cause, I would love that. You can let me know how you want to do that. But yeah, the look, tried, tested, and true in a lot of ways, and in ways that conventional medicine and conventional products haven't been able to help. And I've seen it. I mean, people in Mexico with tattoos that won't heal because of the bacteria in the water, and all of a sudden we're healing their tattoos for them. So
Yeah.
this type of stuff is pretty incredible. And
He says it's good to use as a deodorant as well. Is that right?
yeah, so that's interesting. This we had actually there's a somebody, I don't know who it is, who put a review up there about she uses it for vaginal odor, and somebody I had heard somebody else talk about deodorant, but definitely we've had that, and we've had menopausal women with like some severe burning that takes place, and this is full body safe. This is not going to burn your skin, and burn anything. And the comments back were that it has taken away this burning that they get. And so like there's some things that I'm hearing that I see that I can't. I'm never going to have to experience, or well, I mean, it's just the way it is, right? We have our own other issues. But I can only speak to what I hear. When somebody puts it in writing like that, that actually,
Powerful.
yeah, that
Yeah.
that yeah, that says a lot. You mentioned about the oxygen tank. You'll see a gentleman on there. He actually went out to smoke a cigarette while he was wearing his oxygen, and he
No.
blew the lines up in his face, and he melted all the plastic in his nose. and burnt all his face. And luckily, it stopped at the back valve before it hit the tank. But um, and it's an older gentleman, and
Hmm.
as we age, it takes us longer to heal. And you'll see pictures there. I mean, he doesn't have a scar on his face. I mean, nothing.
Oh, that's
And
awesome.
and this charred black plastic melted right to his face. I mean,
Yeah.
it went all up his nose and melted in his nose. And I actually spoke with him and told him, like, hey, like, you might want to try this. They did. They actually used Q-tips to get up in there as far as they could, and to help it heal. And 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 then I actually suggested to him to use these saline rinses, to try and
Hmm.
loosen this, and pulled out. They sent me photos of the black charred plastic that was stuck up in his nostrils and stuff to come. Horrible. But luckily, he never had to go to the hospital. He never went to the hospital at all. He used this on his face, and you'll see the review there. You'll see people with cut
Yeah.
wounds, and
Yeah.
it's just pretty interesting. Again, that's what keeps me getting up every day is that. I've already had everything I've ever wanted and given it away. Now it just, what are you gonna do after all that? What legacy are you gonna leave behind? I guess. So this
I
is the
think this
legacy
is a
I'll
good one. I think this is a
want
good
to
one.
leave.
Um, I know personally that this is an amazing plant, and it can do a lot of things. And like you said, not just get people high. It's a very healing plant. So
Sure.
I'm excited to start getting to know this particular community and people that are working in it, and find more products than what I've been familiar with in the past. And I really like working with small batch products rather than the big commercial industrial type of work.
Yeah, eventually the hope is that everything grows to that,
Yeah.
in some ways, right? I think it's really up to
Yeah,
the
without
business
losing
if,
the quality,
yeah,
like we were talking about.
without compromising your values,
Exactly.
but I thank you for having me on here, and we'll carry on our conversations. Interested to know more about what you do, and I know what you do, kind of, but you're in a different state. You're in a state where there's a lot of judgment
That's true.
surrounding this, and that's the thing, right? So I wanted everything we do is 50 state. I can ship anywhere. You don't need any, and there's not about getting high. So that's there's some work to do in that state, and I was talking with someone that last night, actually. I was on a long meeting last night, and I had said to them, they had said, what's it gonna take, right? Like they were talking about, I guess there was some political post or something, but it was about CBD, and they're like, what's it gonna take for finally them to stop and just 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 make this a federally legal, and create the right change.
Hmm.
And my response was, you know what it's going to take? It's going to take somebody getting help who really needed help, who's it's going to take me or someone else like me, or someone in this community that's doing groundbreaking stuff. It's going to take their product. It's going to take them getting help, like maybe the president. I don't know, care who the president is at the time. It doesn't matter to me. But maybe their wife gets help, or maybe their granddaughter gets some help, or maybe their grandfather or their uncle who is so close to somebody's going to get the right amount of help, and it's going to be enough to ignite the change that is required, and that's what it's
Yeah.
going to take. And until then, we can just have the faith, keep the faith, because we know that we're not hurting anyone, and we know we're doing good work. and and we know that we don't have anything but pure intentions. Those of us who are in the right area of this space. There's a lot of sharks and a lot of snakes, and when we're coming from a plant that was suppressed underground. And look, I've been in touch with it. I'm 50 years old. I've been in touch with this plant. I learned how to grow when I was 13 years old, and we most people would call that smuggling back then, but we were bringing medicine to the people, and that's what we were
Yeah.
doing. But when you're in this space, you got to understand that not everybody that comes from an underground learning has integrity. Most don't.
Well, that's everybody.
It's very difficult, yes, but it's very difficult to, it's not difficult, but you can see the difference. You can
Hmm.
see it, and so there is a good strong community of us here in this country that are really just trying to advance the cause and advance the help that we can create for the people, and they're the ones you want to deal with. You got to watch out
Absolutely.
on the other ones.
It's
But we
awesome.
all
Well,
learned that somewhere.
thank you for being on the show. That I'll put the website where people can purchase your salve on in the show notes, as well as the website for ICI Bioscience.
Thank you.
I encourage them to sign up for your newsletter and find out more about what you're doing behind the scenes.
Thank you, and let me know if I can ever help anybody that's you or anyone close to you. I'd be happy to.
Thank you. I
You know
appreciate
how to
that.
get me. You know how to
I
get me.
do.
Everybody knows somebody that is in pain or needs some help.
Yeah,
And all we have is each other. So thank you.
that's true.
All right. You have a good day.
You too. Thanks, David.
Thank you. Bye bye.